Welcome to Lesson 10 tutorial. This is Toshif, and today we'll be focusing on Unix shell and learn some shell commands. So in the last tutorial, we covered the introduction to Unix, and today we will be looking at this link, which is Unix shell in 10 minutes. So I'll be dividing my screen into two parts. On the right, I have the Linux terminal, and on the left I will keep this browser open so that we can look through all the instructions that is there. So if you have followed my previous tutorial, you are already familiar with the tilde sign. This basically tells me this is the home directory, or this is a shortcut for the home. The dot sign, this is the current directory. Double dot means the parent directory, and then you can use these in any combination with forward slashes, and this is the path. So in this case, this means parent of parent directory. We can also select files by using a wildcard notation, and this is specified by a star symbol and then .jpg. What this basically means is all the files uh, that ends with this extension .jpg. So this is applicable only for file names. This is not for text. So any file name you can represent in this wildcard notation format. And here you can see that you can combine this wildcard notation with the paths. So in this case, this means this is a home directory, and then sub directory is documents, and within the documents all the files that end with .doc extension. Now let's look at some of the commands for the Unix or the Linux shell. The first command is pwd. So what this command tells is it displays the current working directory. So let's type in pwd, and this tells me where you are exactly. So if whatever directory you are in, it shows the full path of that directory. So the next command is ls. Ls is used for listing the contents of the directory. So if you fire in an ls, it will show what are the contents. Like here in this home folder, it has subfolders like code, desktop, downloads, and it is color coded. And depending on the type of terminal you're using, so in this case I'm using bash shell, so it has these color codings, and it tells me details of the directories and subdirectories. With these options, you can use many options with the commands. Like for example, in ls, you can use -l option, which lists the file in long format. What it means is this format is tells you details about each of these directories. Like for example, this is the permission structure that we were covering in the previous tutorial, and then you have the user, you have the user group, this is the size, and this is the date modified. You can imagine this to be similar to a Windows Explorer. So when you fire up an Explorer and you go to the Explorer files, you have this date modified, type, size, and you can sort them and do a bunch of things. So these detailed information is displayed, and in Linux or Unix environment, this long format displays those information. You can also use ls-l with a t option. What it does is it sorts the output by date modified. So if I do an ls, you see it is modified by newest first and the oldest at the bottom. And you can also reverse sort it by using another option called r, ls-ltr. It will just reverse sort it, which means the latest ones will be at the bottom and the oldest ones will be in the top in this user directory. You can also look at the sizes. So in this case, sizes by default are written in bytes. However, you can fire in an h option, which shows it in a human readable format. So if I fire in an h option, you can see that it will tell you in kilobytes or megabytes how much is the size of that file. Otherwise, by default, it will show just the digits, which is in bytes. You can use ls command in a bunch of ways. Like for example, when you run ls, it by default assumes you want to ls in the current directory. However, you can use other subdirectories as if you want to look at, say for example, I want to look at this users folder. So you can just type in ls users and tab, and now what it's showing is it is listing the contents of the users directory. So you can have any path you want, and the ls command will show you the contents of that path. Say for example, now I know that inside the users folder there is an xman folder. So what I can do is I can type in users and then xman, and it will list in the contents of this xman, this path. So this is users xman. uh, you can also use this with options like ltrh, and what it will do is in for that directory it will show using the long format and then time and then sorted in reverse order. And you can always put in an h which will show it in human readable format. So this has an image file, is jpeg, in this long format. Next command we'll learn is the file command. File command is basically used to display the type of files that are there in the in a particular directory. The format is file, and then you can type in the path or wildcard or the directory name. So in this case, we know there is a directory users xman. So what we can do is we can just type in file and then go to users xman, and type in star, and it tells me what contents of that files are. Say for example, this is an ASCII text, so let me make it a full screen and let's erase it. Let's do file. If you just type in file, it will give an error because it needs a directory or a wildcard. So say users. If I type in file users, so what we are asking us to display what kind of file or a folder this is. So it says users is a directory, and say if I want to, I have this file called examples.desktop and a readme. So if I type in file readme, so what it is telling me that readme is an ASCII text file. In the same way, you can use the file command to find out more information about a folder or a directory or a file. Next, we will learn about the cd command. Cd command basically is used to change a directory. So whenever you want to go inside a particular directory, you use a cd command. So in this case, say for example, I want to go inside downloads. So what I will do is I'll type in cd and then downloads. So use tab, and now I'm in downloads. So this is used for navigating between files and folders. cd command, if you just type in cd and nothing, by default it assumes you want to go back to your home directory. So once you enter, you are back in home. You can run pwd and check. You can use cd to directly navigate into a path. Like for example, you can directly want to go inside the users folder and a subfolder. Say, so I have this users folder here. So if I want to go directly into the subfolder inside the users, so what I can do is users, cd users, and then inside there is this xman. So type in xman and then type tab and keep pressing tab. And so you have this folder called project. How do I know this is a folder? Because it ends with a slash. So that tells me that this is a folder. So I can folder or a directory. So I can press in projects, and then I can press in enter, and you directly go into this into this subdirectory. So cd can be used in a combination of directory or a path. Let's go back to our home folder. And now what we want to do is I type in ls. So I have the list of things, ls-l. I can see the list. So what I want to do is I want to go into the users folder and create a new folder. So let me go to the users. I will do ls. So I have these three directories inside this users directory. And now I want to create a new directory. For that, we'll use this next command, which is called make directory, mkdir. And the syntax is simple, mkdir and the name of the file that you want to create. So let's do that, mkdir. So I'll make a new folder called choco. So it tells me created new directory called choco, and then I can list, and you see there is a new directory called choco created.